Holy cow, do I have some giant breaking news for you guys. I mean, wow. You go to sleep, you wake up, and it's like 7 tremendously gargantuan stories. So, let's start with this one. There was a big report that came out in the New York Times about Elon Musk. And in fact, it wasn't even just the New York Times that wrote an article on Elon Musk. I saw like a bunch of different outlets, Rolling Stone. There are others that also wrote these articles on Elon Musk. And it is very clear that there are people in the Trump regime, in fact, maybe multiple people in the Trump regime, maybe the big man himself, they decided it's time to bury this man. It's time to end his career. And so this is huge. Listen to this, guys. So I'm going to quote from the piece right now. I believe this one's from the New York Times piece. As Elon Musk became one of Donald J. Trump's closest allies last year, leading miraculous rallies and donating about $275 million to help him win the presidency, he was also using drugs far more intensely than previously known, according to people familiar with his activities. Mr. Musk's drug consumption went well beyond occasional use. He told people he was taking so much ketamine, a powerful anesthetic, that it was affecting his bladder, a known effect of chronic use. He took ecstasy and psychedelic mushrooms, and he traveled with a daily medication box that held about 20 pills, including ones with markings of the stimulant Adderall, according to a photo of the box and people who have seen it. Bro, this man was high as ball sacks on a daily basis. He was on a speedball on a daily basis. And you know what? This makes perfect sense. Because he had so many moments where it was like, are you completely and utterly unaware of how other people are viewing you right now and how you look to the world and how disconnected you are from reality? And the answer to that question is yes. He seemed immensely disconnected from reality because he was immensely disconnected from reality. Guys, we're talking about a massive tranquilizer downer, a massive stimulant upper, plus psychedelic hallucination substances. Like, there's not a person on the earth that can keep it together with that cocktail of drugs. Not a person on the earth. And so, look, it all adds up, right? You know, I was under the impression, I knew about the ketamine part. I knew it looked like he took more than he ever admitted to. But when you tell me it's this buffet of substances he's dumping in his body on a regular basis, oh my God. It all adds up. It all makes sense. Now, by the way, I should also point out, this is from the New York Times piece, quote, the administration has terminated more than 80% of U.S. aid grants. A BU global health professor estimated these cuts have already resulted in the deaths of about 300,000 people, most of them children. That is what Musk's foray into politics has accomplished. I mean, the title of the piece in the New York Times, this is how brutal this is Elon Musk's legacy is disease, starvation, and death. So understand, this is the knife in the back and they're twisting it. And the move here from the Trump regime is not just, hey, we're trying to kick this guy out of politics. That part is clear. The move here is also, let's destroy his businesses. Let's destroy him. And you know what? I know there's no good guys in this story. I know that the people in the Trump regime are just as guilty as Elon Musk because they don't care about the 80% cuts to USAID and the cuts to pediatric cancer research. They supported all that. That's not the problem. To them, the problem was interpersonally, he stepped on toes within the regime, right? He would fight with Sean Duffy, the Secretary of Transportation. He fought with Marco Rubio. He fought with all these top-level people within the Trump regime who have seniority over him. They've been in politics longer. He apparently just is, you can't deal with him. You can't work with him. He's a massive ego narcissist, but he doesn't have any people skills. Trump, for all of his flaws, interpersonally, you know, people report being around him and he knows how to schmooze. He knows how to charm. He knows how to get what he wants from people and, you know, have them appreciate him, right? And so this just, Elon Musk doesn't have these skills. He's just the most unlikable character on planet Earth. So I know there's no good guys in this story, but what they're trying to do here, they're trying to crush him. All those, I mean, the billions of dollars he's gotten for SpaceX contracts for those rockets to explode immediately when they take off. We've seen like 3 in a row now have exploded. They're trying to end that. They're trying to end shit, you name it. They're trying to end Tesla. That's very clear. I mean, Cybertruck is selling like the worst of any car in history. They have tens of millions or hundreds of millions in inventory that they can't sell. Elon Musk was already on the brink of being kicked out of Tesla, and now it looks like he's probably going to be kicked out of Tesla. And the other thing is, and this drives me crazy that other people don't realize this, is that the guy's always been a fraud. I mean, you go watch the Thunderfoot YouTube videos on Elon Musk, and he goes like, you know, scam for scam. This guy's been scamming people for like over a decade. He comes up with this big new idea. Oh, it'll be released in a year, and then it never gets released, but he raised tens of millions of dollars for the idea. People get screwed. He does what's called vaporware, right? Like, oh, I came up with this great thing, and we're going to sell it. Give me money. And then they give him the money, and then he doesn't sell it, and then he moves on to the next thing, right? This is what he does. So huge con artist, basically being completely unmasked here. I think not only does this, make it so he can't be involved in politics anymore, as, you know, there's been hints of that recently, that he's like stepping back, but he's being forced to step back. But this is also going to hurt his businesses. This is going to hurt his reputation. It's now up in flames, right? He only got to this high level of reputation from a whole bunch of PR fluff nonsense, right? And then now it all comes tumbling down because you already alienated and isolated everybody on the left and every liberal in the country. And then now it looks like the right is turning on you, MAGA is turning on you, and where are you going to turn? Well, my suspicion is he's going to try to do a face turn again, right? He's going to try to, like, now he's probably going to talk about things he saw behind the scenes within the Trump regime and blow the whistle on them and call them out. And look, I'm more than happy to listen to what he has to say and report it to you guys, but the fact of the matter is, nobody should ever allow him into polite society again. Nobody should ever, people on the left and liberals should not welcome him with open arms. Yes, we can listen to his stories about the Trump regime. Yes, we can, accurately report on them. I'm sure he's going to tell the truth about a lot of the crazy stuff he's seen behind the scenes, but do not ever pretend like this guy is one of us, like this guy means well. This guy has the deaths of hundreds of thousands, or actually in the long term, millions of people on his hands. He's the reason we cut pediatric cancer research. He's the reason we got rid of, or we defunded the CFPB, the anti-scam police. He's the reason we got rid of our top nuclear safety officials. But absolutely devastating, man. So go read the New York Times piece. Also, go read the Rolling Stones piece. Read every piece that just came out on Elon Musk, because the Trump regime is putting the knife in and they're twisting. And it is incredibly glorious. I am absolutely here for it. I can't wait to hear more. I can't wait to hear Elon's stuff, because I'm sure he's going to talk about some crazy-ass shit that Trump did, some crazy-ass shit that the people in the regime did, some crazy shit they said, because now it's war. Now it's war. Holy shit. Okay. By the way, also, I wanted to point this out. So we learned yesterday that, this is in Raw Story here, rumors are swirling as Stephen Miller's wife left the White House to work for Elon Musk. Well, we may have the source of a lot of these claims now, right? Stephen Miller's probably blowing the whistle on Elon, because this story came out. It's basically like, Stephen Miller is a cuck. He's been cucked by Elon. Elon basically, he's Mr. Steal Your Girl. He stole his girl, right? And so maybe Stephen Miller is the one who originated these claims. But also, to be clear, I 100% believe the claims. I'm sure he's an absolute colossal drug addict, because it explains a lot of his actions. Okay, so let me give you some other stuff here, guys. Some horrible news. The Supreme Court is going to let the Trump regime end humanitarian programs that allowed 500,000 immigrants to live and work in the U.S. legally. So now 500,000 people face imminent deportation. Basically what this means is these people were legal under a certain program under the Biden administration, but now under the Trump regime, they're saying Trump has the authority to take these people from legal immigrant status and make it illegal immigrant status, right? That's basically what they're saying. But yet again, it just proves from the beginning, as we pointed out, the idea he was only ever going to go after illegal immigrants was a total farce. I mean, some people thought he's only going to go after illegal immigrants and they have to be violent criminals. Wrong. He's also going after legal immigrants. He's also gone after U.S. citizens, deported a 4-year-old American citizen with cancer. Remember that? So just a horrible, horrible thing. And my guess is, look, this is the Supreme Court. I really think it's tactical on their part. They feel like if we give Trump some wins, then when we give him the losses, that he'll accept them. But that's not how it works. I'm telling you, you give the fascist an inch and they take a mile. So he's going to view this as you giving him an inch, because you are, and he's going to take a mile. He's still probably going to reject your decisions that cut against him. Okay. More. Apparently, we are ruled by a complete and utter lunatic because Trump posted the following about China. 2 weeks ago, China was in grave economic danger. The very high tariffs I set made it virtually impossible for China to trade into the United States marketplace, which is by far #1 in the world. We went in effect cold turkey with China, and it was devastating for them. Many factories closed, and there was, to put it mildly, civil unrest. I saw what was happening, and I didn't like it. For them, not for us. I made a fast deal with China in order to save them from what I thought was going to be a very bad situation, and I didn't want to see that happen. Because of this deal, everything quickly stabilized, and China got back to business as usual. Everybody was happy. That is the good news. The bad news is that China, perhaps not surprisingly to some, has totally violated its agreement with the U.S. So much for being Mr. Nice Guy. So this is just total cope, complete lie. He's saying, oh, I looked at the situation in China, and because of my tariffs, they were hurting so bad that I decided to help them out. And so that's why I moved back and changed my position. This is him trying to react to that whole taco thing that happened the other day. Taco stands for Trump always chickens out. Apparently people on Wall Street are using that because they feel like when Trump announces new tariffs, it's okay. He's going to back off of it so the market doesn't overreact as much anymore to tariff announcements. And Trump at the time, he was offended when taco was brought up to him. Like, what do you mean, me? I always follow through. I don't know what you're talking about. I always do the right thing. And so now this is him again trying to be, oh, no, I'm Mr. Tough Guy, bro. I'm really going to do tariffs. I'll do 1,000,000,000% tariffs. How about that, bro? And this is what results. And let's be clear, these massive tariffs on China, they absolutely hurt us way worse than it hurts them. We're only like 14% of, the amount that they trade. We're a small percentage of it. That can be made up for, right? It cannot be made up for in this country. We don't have the manufacturing capacity in this country that they have in their country. So tariffs would hurt us way, way more than it hurts them. And he's pretending like that's not the case. And again, he's trying to be Mr. Tough Guy to say, taco's not true. I don't know he's chicken out. Watch what I do here. So this is horrible, man. By the way, we just learned that U.S. goods imports fell 19.8% in April as Trump's reciprocal tariffs effectively halted trade with a bunch of countries. That's the largest drop in history for U.S. goods imports. So it's happening, man. It's happening. Massive economic impacts of this are landing. Also, this was a big deal. So the Federal Reserve Chairman, Jerome Powell, the Fed is supposed to be independent. They make decisions about interest rates, and they do it based on, some objective economic analysis. Trump has been pestering this guy and haranguing him to lower interest rates. That would be a horrible idea for him to do that right now, because that means more free money floating around the economy and for all these investors. And that would mean also prices would go up. It would lead to a lot of inflation if you were to do that. So apparently, Trump had a meeting with Jerome Powell. In other words, he made him go to a meeting. And Trump tried to basically strong arm him into lowering interest rates. And Jerome Powell is basically like, fuck off. I'm not doing that. So I don't know, man. I don't know. We're in a really dangerous spot here. I hope that he can keep withstanding the pressure. And I hope Trump doesn't try to do another illegal firing, this time of the Federal Reserve Chair. All right, more. So we have Senator Joni Ernst, Republican. She was at some event and she was told that, hey, listen, you guys are cutting Medicaid. Kicking people off Medicaid will literally kill people. Medicaid is healthcare for low-income people and disabled people. People can't afford to lose this healthcare, right? Her reaction was the following, quote, well, we're all going to die. This is a demonic party. The Republicans are flat out evil. I mean, could you imagine? Could you imagine saying such a thing? Could you imagine? Hey, if you do this policy, people are going to die as a result of it. Well, we're all going to die. So might as well destroy Medicaid, cut over $800 billion from it, kick millions of people off it, ruin their lives, have people go bankrupt because of medical bills, have people not be able to get the care they need and just die. I'm telling you, man, these are demons. These are demons in real life. Incredible. All right, some more. So this is a big deal. So as you all know, Jake Tapper had this book that just came out. I think it's called Original Sin. And the whole idea of it is like, well, there was a massive cover up of Biden's, cognitive abilities, and that was wrong, and the media was wrong, and how they took way too long to talk about it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But Jake Tapper hasn't just taken that position. He's also been talking about it every single day, right, as Trump destroys the country and goes full fascist. And he's also been doing like this mea culpa tour, where he goes on right-wing media outlets and he basically grovels and he says, oh, I'm so wrong about everything and you guys are right about everything. And one of the things he did is he recently went on some show and he said, oh, I disagree with Alvin Bragg and Letitia James. They did lawfare against President Trump, and that's not right. That's utter horseshit. Utter horseshit. Trump committed 91 crimes, which is why he was charged with 91 crimes. The reality is he probably committed 450 crimes, but he can only come up with charges for 91 crimes. So to stoop so low as to pretend like all of the attempts to hold Trump accountable and bring about justice, that, oh, this is just lawfare. I mean, man, you are a hack at that point. You're a hack. Well, guess what? His audience agrees. The Lead with Jake Tapper averaged 525,000 total viewers from April 28th to May 25th, shedding 25% of CNN's audience in its time slot from the same period last year in the process. By comparison, The Five on Fox News and Special Report with Bret Baier averaged 3.3 million viewers from April 28th through May 25th, trouncing Jake Tapper. MSNBC also beat Tapper among total viewers, as programming on the Progressive Network averaged a little over 1 million viewers in the time slot. As a result, Tapper settled for only 11% of the cable news audience share, while MSNBC managed 21% and Fox News commanded 68%. It was Tapper's lowest rated month since August 2015. In other words, his audience is going, you're a hack, you're acting like a hack, we see you're trying to do this enlightened centrist shtick, and go fuck yourself, we're done with you. So a little bit of a punch in the face from reality here for Jake Tapper, and you love to see it. All right. Also, New York Times is reporting. This is wild. This is what happens when you have Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Leading Health and Human Services. The United States has canceled its contract with Moderna to develop a bird flu vaccine. Why? Because Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has repeatedly questioned the safety of mRNA technology, and that's what they use in this shot. And so he's like, we're axing this bitch. So his anti-vax shit is actually in real life leading to horrific decisions, right? They also limited the types of people who can get a COVID booster. That's another thing. If you're young and healthy, now they don't allow you to get it. These are not science-based decisions. These are political ideology-based decisions from a junk science crank. That's what this is. That's what we're talking about here. By the way, I'm sure you all also saw this was a huge deal. So Maha and RFK Jr. released their first official report, right? And the thing was riddled with errors. First of all, I think literally AI wrote it because they had fake sources in there. I believe 7 different utterly fake sources where they cite a study. The study doesn't even fucking exist, right? Guys, in a world that made sense, that's it. You're done. We're kicking you out. It's over. You're not, I'm sorry. You cannot be the head of HHS anymore. You can't do it. You can't do it. You're not good at your job. You don't know what you're doing. You don't understand science. And you're humiliating yourself and embarrassing yourself on a daily basis. Not only were there fake studies in there that they cited, but there's also, they would bring up things that were, cited out of context, that had the opposite conclusion of what they were saying. The whole thing is a fucking mess, bro. The whole thing is a mess. This would be a career-ending scandal at any other time. But these people just swat it aside and bulldoze ahead. And also, let me say, Democrats, I need you to pounce on this. Media, I need you to pounce on this. There's some stories this week about how Trump's approval rating is actually rebounding a little bit from the peak of the tariffs. And you look at that and you go, how can that happen? Well, it happens because people aren't saying the shit that we're saying on this show. They're not educating people and giving them information and explaining how horrific this regime is. And so when that happens, you can get a rebound in your popularity rating because nobody's telling you the problems with the regime. Certainly not in a substantive way where you get to the core of it. All right, just a few more things here. So the guy who's now looking to be the head of the oversight committee for the Democrats, remember, this was Jerry Connolly, 74-year-old with esophageal cancer. He died. He took that spot from AOC. So it's literally like a Make-A-Wish Foundation over there where Democrats have seniority and hierarchy, and they say, oh, if it's your turn, we'll give it to you. It's so fucking stupid because Oversight Committee would be one of the chief, anti-Trump voices in the country. And they're putting these geriatrics who don't even follow the fucking news in these positions. So Jerry Connolly was put in that position, died. Now, the person who wants to replace him, who, submitted to do that, 76 years old. What am I going to do with this party, bro? What am I going to do with this party? They act like this is a normal time with a normal president and it's all a game. No, the life and death stakes are happening here. And you got the oldest people in the country who can't string together an argument. They're supposed to be leading the resistance. Go fuck yourself. Holy shit. All right. And then finally, I've often told you guys I have a love-hate relationship with libertarians. On 40 or 50% of the issues, I love them, right? but on 50 or 60%, I hate them. So on anything economic related, me and libertarians are mortal enemies. I think they're wrong about virtually everything when it comes to economics. But on civil liberties, on foreign policy, on drug policy, on constitutional issues, they do a better job than even many progressives, right? And so here's a great example of this today. Thomas Massie, who's basically like this generation's Ron Paul, an actually principled libertarian, he came out and said the following: "Nothing can justify the number of civilian casualties, tens of thousands of women and children, inflicted by Israel in Gaza in the last 2 years. We should end all U.S. military aid to Israel now." Thank you, Thomas Massie. Every single Democrat should be saying the same thing. They're doing a genocide. They're doing an ethnic cleansing. We are arming. We are funding it. The bare minimum we could do is cut off all the money and cut off all the weapons. That's the bare minimum. In reality, we should sanction them. We should embargo them. We should have them arrested for the war crimes that the top officials have committed. But, here's a libertarian actually standing as a principled libertarian and saying, what the fuck are we doing here? What are we doing here? This is brutal. This is vicious. Why are they getting our tax money? Cut it off. So shout out to Thomas Massie on that. As I said, about half the time you're going to love him. About half the time you're going to hate him with a burning passion. This is an instance where we love him. And I want all the Democrats to follow suit because he's exactly right about this. And then finally, and this speaks to the exact same thing I just mentioned, the love-hate relationship with libertarians. There's a Governor Jared Polis is of Colorado. He is very libertarian, but he's a Democrat. So you have Massey's very libertarian, but a Republican. Polis is very libertarian, but a Democrat. Listen to this. This is the bad side of libertarianism. Ready? Governor Jared Polis has vetoed a bill banning surprise billing by ambulance companies. The bill passed the Colorado legislature by unanimous votes in both chambers. Can you imagine getting every Republican and every Democrat in the state of Colorado to say, well, of course we should ban surprise billing by ambulance companies. Duh. We want people going bankrupt or not being able to make rent or whatever because they had an accident and they needed to go to the hospital. And this is a libertarian idea of there's no such thing as a free ride. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Everybody's got to pay for everything, bro. We don't believe in any social safety net. We don't believe in any government support. And so he's like, no, that's on you. Vetoed a bill banning surprise billing by ambulance companies. That's the dark side of libertarians. And by the way, Thomas Massie, who we were just giving tremendous credit for what he said about Gaza, he would agree with Jared Polis on this too. It's the love-hate thing with libertarians. So anyway, there are your updates today, man. Huge news day. Really wild stuff. But, I mean, the biggest thing, of course, is like Elon Musk is barbecue chicken to the max.